Okay, I'm just going to talk about the GoPro Fusion. Now, this is the first GoPro camera I have bought, and in fact it is the first video camera I've bought since I was about 20 years old, which was just a few years ago. So may have made the wrong decision with buying the Fusion as my first camera, given that it is hideously complicated to edit down. But I'm getting there. I love a challenge, and it is certainly a challenge. So let me just talk about the problems I've been having with the Fusion. Firstly, the file size. It is enormous, absolutely massive. Because don't forget, we've got front and rear cameras or both recording their own stream. So straight away you're doubling up the amount of space. So you have to copy those. Now, I've done a bit of research on YouTube. The best way to render them, that's the wrong word, stitch them together, obviously with the Fusion software, is to copy the files directly off the camera onto the computer hard drive, rather than having the camera linked to the PC and then the software doing its thing, bringing the footage from the camera directly. So that's what I've been doing. Now, I've got a MacBook Pro 2013, and it is just not up for the job of stitching it together. It will do it, but it is painfully slow. I mean, it is hideously slow. It would take me, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 days, maybe, possibly longer, for an hour's footage on my MacBook. It is hideous. So when I bought the Fusion and used the MacBook first, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I just can't. This is just not workable. And at that point, I nearly sent the camera back. But I've got a PC, which I don't use a lot. I use it for the flight sim, and when I get time, a bit of gaming. Now, this is a PC I built myself, just as a project, little challenge, and that's pretty good specs. I mean, it's not the fastest, but it's pretty good. And with the graphics card, it's got some good horsepower. So actually, the Fusion software works well on the PC, but I like to edit on the MacBook. I just don't get on with Windows. I much prefer the Apple operating system. So I've got Final Cut Pro 10 or X, whatever you want to call it. So what I'm having to do is I'm doing the stitching on the PC, then I'm transferring these massive files across to the MacBook, which takes another hour or so, and then I can edit it in Final Cut Pro. Now, when I first started to edit in Final Cut Pro, because I didn't have enough room on the MacBook's internal SSD drive. I don't think it's an SSD drive, anyway. So I actually copied the files to an external disk drive, but when I went to edit it, it was awful. It was stuttering, lagging. It was terrible. It was unworkable. And I thought, no, not only can my MacBook not handle stitching the footage together, it can't handle the massive files and editing and all that. I thought, no. I thought I'm going to have to get a new MacBook, which I really didn't want to. I love my Pro. It does everything I want it to do. I've got no need to get a more powerful computer. And not to mention, when I looked for the first time on the Apple website in years, the price of these things has gone through the roof. It's unbelievable money for Apple laptops now. So I really didn't want to get a new computer, and I guess I could have used the PC for editing, but I'm just so used to using Apple now. I just don't fancy I've had so many issues with Windows over the years. I just couldn't face it. I've had no problems with Mac. I've had nothing but problems with Windows PCs over the years. My new one's not been too bad actually, but it's just ingrained into me now that I don't want to be using Windows. And I apologise for Windows users out there. One of my good friends, he always mocks me for my Mac, my love of Mac. So I'm fully aware there's some die-hard Windows supporters out there, and that's fine. So I didn't really want to go the PC route, and also I did look at Adobe Premiere Pro on the PC, and then I discovered you can't actually buy it. You've got to subscribe to this cloud service, and that just seemed weird. I mean, over years and years, this thing's going to cost you a fortune. I can see no way of buying Premiere Pro. Only subscribe, which is hundreds and hundreds of pounds a year. Whereas Final Cut Pro is about, what, £299? But that's it, that's yours then. So I wasn't impressed with that. So I much prefer to buy software, and that's mine, done. I don't want to be subscribing. So I did a bit of research, Googled the old Fusion footage stuttering in Mac. And there was a lot of people complaining about the Fusion software and editing it and not working in Final Cut Pro. And one caught my eye, and that was hard drive speed. And this didn't even occur to me at the time. Obviously I've been editing from the external hard drive, which is your old style spinny hard drives, not the new super fast SSDs. And I wondered, could that be it? So there was a bit of software I downloaded called Blackmagic, which is used to test the speed of your hard drives. And lo and behold, my hard drive was very, very slow. I think it was about 48 MB/s. Now, I often get confused between bytes and bits. I don't know if it was megabytes or megabits per second, but anyway, it wasn't good. And it tells you what sort of video footage it's suitable for, and I had a lot of red crosses. I thought, could that be it? So what I did, I downloaded a smaller file I could put onto my Mac's internal SSD, and hallelujah, it worked beautifully. And that was a massive relief for me, massive relief. So I knew straight away my computer can do the job at hand. I just need to get a better hard drive. More research later, I've gone for two. I've gone for a 1 terabyte external SSD linked to the Mac via Thunderbolt, and I've gone for a 6 terabyte regular spinny hard drive, but a fast one, also Thunderbolted. So what I'll be doing is I'll be doing all the editing using the SSD, so I get the speed. Once I've completed that, I'll then copy that across to the regular external hard drive, the 6 terabyte one, and that will be my archive. Still got to think about backups. Now these videos will be uploaded to YouTube, so that's kind of a backup, I guess, but I know there are better ways of doing it. You never know what YouTube are going to do. So that is working for me. So here's the workflow is, I download the files from the Fusion to the PC. Oh, that reminds me of another thing. Final Cut Pro would not recognize the Fusion files. And it took me a long time to figure out the reason why. And this is a problem with the Fusion software, I think. Again, I'm not a massive tech person, but when you put it in the queue for stitching, you can select the type of file that it will stitch it as. So there's three options. You've got, oh God, I'm going to get this wrong, X264. Sorry if that's wrong. I'm sure someone will correct me. You've got Cine something. Cine, I can't remember it. Terrible, aren't I? And that is the default one. The cinema one was the default one, and that's what it was stitching in, and that's what Final Cut Pro couldn't recognise. So again, lots of forum discussions, and I only found one comment on the fact that it was this cinema format which Final Cut Pro couldn't recognise. So the other format was ProRes. Now I've got no idea what these three different formats mean and what the quality means. I'm probably going to have to do a bit more research on it. I'm sure someone's going to tell me down below, hopefully. But I selected ProRes, and the only reason I selected ProRes over X264 is because ProRes sounded better. It's Pro, it must be better. So I selected that, and it works fine. Absolutely works fine, and that was a big relief as well. So the workflow is copy the files from the Fusion to the PC, and the PC's using SSD. It's not a big one, but it's enough to render the files. Once they're stitched together in the PC is linked to the MacBook via Thunderbolt Ethernet. I ping them across to the external SSD of the Mac, where I use Final Cut Pro to edit them. Once I finish editing, I'll then move the finished file, to the external regular hard drive, and then I can free up the SSD external hard drive. And then of course I can upload it to YouTube, which takes God knows how long. So that is the workflow. It's not particularly efficient. I am extremely new to all this, so please forgive me. I'm learning. I'll hopefully improve. I will be keeping an eye on the comments below. I welcome help and criticism. Hopefully don't be too rude, but if you've got any tips and advice, please, I need all the help I can get. Okay, that is all. Bye for now.